Hi everyone, welcome back to the Little Book of Algorithms 2.0, and we are today looking at challenges 3 and 4, which allows us to practice functions and develop our fluency in functions. So let's go straight to it. We're looking at a subprogram which has a parameter called num. It takes a number as an argument, returns a subject. So this is to do with your GCSE options. So if you picked number 1, it would mean computer science, 2 would mean music, 3 dance, and 4 PE. If they put in any other, pass in any other number into the parameter, then it's going to generate an error. So it already tells you that the parameter is called num. So let's put that in there. A quick reminder, a parameter is simply a placeholder or a local variable which is waiting for an argument to be passed in. You might imagine these placeholders like car parking spaces. So num is like the name of a car parking space, and it's waiting for a value to be passed into that so that it could be used throughout the subprogram. And as soon as the subprogram ends, the function ends for a return or through the program terminating, num is wiped out, so that area of memory is reallocated and can be used for anything else. Yeah. So if the number is equal to 1, return computer science. L if the number is 2, we return music. L if the number is equal to 3. Notice the use of double equals because it's a comparison, not an assignment. So we're saying, is this number 3? If it is, then we're going to return dance. We've got autocorrect there on the return. And then number 4, you might think, okay, why don't we just do else for? Well, the else needs to be for the error message if they enter anything other than 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get elif num double equals 4. Oh, and we're going to return p. And then the else statement here is going to be return error. Okay. And we can test it. I've pre-written it here, so it's exactly the same as what you've seen on the previous screen. Let's run this. And nothing happens because we haven't yet called it. And once again, that is the next challenge. Challenge number 4 is to actually call it. But we could test if it works still because it's compiled now. So if we did options 3, it should tell us dance. And if we did options 10, it should return error. Yeah, so it definitely works, but we actually want a more meaningful user experience. So we're going to need to call it. And like I said, this would be 2 separate questions in your exam. So challenge 4, calling options. We need to write a program which calls the subprogram options from challenge 2. A user should be prompted to enter a number to choose a GCSE option. Program should then output a meaningful confirmation message based on user input. Okay, so we need to ask them to enter a number to choose GCSE option. I'm going to program this straight into idle. You should probably handwrite it first, and this is really just to check your answers this video. And then you can check your answer yourself, obviously, by running your program. But let's just ask them for that input then. So let's say opt in or number in input, a variable essentially. And we're going to ask them for a number, an integer input. And we'll say enter a number to choose an option. And at this stage, we should probably actually tell them what all the different options are. And the use of this triple quote as a multi-line quote is quite valuable because we can actually copy and paste in any block of text and it will put that on separate lines. So we could copy and paste these into here and actually it will output those each on separate lines. And we can try that now. See, yeah, so it's done 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no need for /n because we've done the triple quote, like a multi-line quote, multi-line string. Enter a number to choose an option. So if we did 1, you would expect it to confirm computer science, and we're going to code that in now. So we want to call options with our opt-in. So options, I mean, let's call it opt-num. Options, or let's call it subject actually. Subject equals, we'll call options, we'll pass in opt-num. And remember that opt-num that the user enters gets passed into num. Once we've done that, we probably want to say an if statement to say if it's an error message first. So if subject equals error, then we can say print you entered an invalid number. Please, let's just start with that to start with, and then I'll show you what it will look like when we can call it multiple times. Else, we're just going to print you chose, and we'll concatenate subject. So that value that's returned just gets concatenated and stored there. Let's run it and see what that looks like. So here we choose 3 and it says you chose dance. Now all that is well and good, but what happens if we run the program and there's an error message? So let's say for example you choose like 6, you enter an invalid number, then the program stops. Well, how do you get it to loop back to the top? And that's quite a key skill, so I might as well show you that now. Well, we would actually put all of this in its own subprogram, and it's typical to call this main. So we'll just put a def main, and what we're going to do is if, say for example, there is an error, then we can recall main. Now this is fine, although in Python I prefer to do return main because that kills the current main function and returns a new one. So that means that what you're currently doing is ended and we start a new one. So you enter an invalid number and print please enter a number between 1 and 4. Yeah. And we'll need to call main once to start with. Yeah, so the program is actually going to start here, main. It'll run through this, and if it's not an error, it'll tell you your subject. If there is an error, it'll loop back to the top. Yeah? Okay. And when it's calling options, that's going back to this function at the top here. Let's run it. So enter number to choose an option. Let's say we accidentally do a typo and we press like 34. Then I'll say you entered an invalid number, so it loops back. We've returned, so that means kill the current main function, and we're returning main, so actually call main again, and then I'll rerun it. And this time we're choosing 1, so you chose computer science. And that is how functions work. Hopefully you got these answers right and you've checked it and this is correct. In your exam, you're highly unlikely to have to write 2 functions back to back, one under the other. However, in your programming project, this might be somewhat useful to have several different functions, and you start to see how calling multiple functions can be quite useful, and the beauty of functional programming is becoming evident. Okay, I hope that's useful. The next tutorial might go through the next 2 challenges, although they're much more elementary, so I'll keep those very short. Thanks for tuning in.